Since starting this channel, I've been hell-bent on figuring out the best workflow for creating comics with AI. After months of trial and error and hitting dead ends, it wasn't all for nothing, because now I can save you from wasted time and frustrating setbacks. I'm gonna give it to you straight. Dashtoon is the best platform for you. It's free, it's the easiest tool for creating webcomics, and it solves the money problem. This is good news for you guys who want to make this a side hustle. I've used Dashtoon to create 10 episodes of my original title, GigaChad Origins. Here is one episode. And in this video, I'll show you how you could do the same. And if you don't like my art style, don't worry, because they have a long list for you to choose from. To get started with your comic, simply click Create New Dashtoon. And right here, you have two choices. You could either paste your story here, or you could just create a story from a text prompt. Up to you. In my case, I already have a story, so I'll just continue with that one. You could create a new page by clicking here. And then you could change the background to whatever color you like. You could choose between solid fill and a gradient. But in my case, I prefer having a solid color. So I'm just going to stick with this one, so it's going to be uniform. So now that you have the page, you could just generate the frames by clicking this one. Frames are basically the same as panels. Frames allow you to generate the images. When creating comics with AI, the two most important features were character consistency and pose control. When I first started, this was a tough problem, but Loris and Midjourney CRF solved it. However, they're still not quite as advanced as Dashtoon. Let me show you. Now we can begin generating images for the panels. Let's make two, because I want to show you how consistent the character is gonna look. So now, let's choose from one of the characters in my story. When you click on a frame or a panel, you can see that on the right, there's a selection of characters. These are the characters that I have for my story. If you want to add more characters, you could just click here. You could choose from a wide selection of available avatars as your characters. Or you could do what I did, which is create most of the characters myself, because you could actually add your own characters. I will teach you how to do that in another video, but just for brevity's sake, I'll just use one of my existing characters, this one. I'm just gonna click him, and you can see that his trigger prompt is gonna be added. So what I'm gonna do is just add more descriptions so I could control the scene. Let's say I want him to be walking on the road. Frontal view. I could also add the camera distance, mid shot or medium shot. I should probably include that he's wearing a white tank top. After you're satisfied, you can just click generate. And there we have it. Here's our character. Click accept. Okay. Now, how about for the other one? Let's say he's sitting at a cafe. So I'm just gonna click here. Now I want a side view. Alright, so now we got these two characters. Doesn't it look consistent? Now, if you're not satisfied with the face, don't worry, because you could just in-paint it so that it would look exactly the same, like the same person. Don't worry about this one. This can be easily removed with the magic eraser. See, all gone. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to edit the face. Let's say we want him to smile. We want him to be happy. And the cool thing about Dashtoon is it allows you to have full control over the emotions of your characters, unlike other generators where it's much harder to do so. All you have to do is click on the mask here, as I did, and just dab it all over his face. And then you could just edit the prompt, remove the pose, add his any facial expression you want. For this one, I want him to smile, smiling. And here, you could just put happy. And as you can see, there's a slider here. And this is what gives you so much control over the expression. You could crank it up to 10, but I highly recommend you don't do that because it might mess up the face. If you want him to be extremely happy, you could just stick to 5 or 6. But in my case, simple 3. I think that will do the job. So let's generate it. Alright, so as you can see, we got the character here. He looks pretty happy, doesn't he? Now, how about this one? Let's say we want to change the clothing. Let's say we want him to be wearing a blue shirt. All you have to do is use the paintbrush here and select the color that you want. Adjust the opacity a little bit and just paint it all over the shirt. Don't worry about perfection because you don't need to. This tool is pretty smart. As you can see, it doesn't even look perfect, right? Now, we're gonna use the mask again. Paint it all over the areas where you want the shirt to be. All right, now we're done. Just delete the prompt here about the character, because all we need to do is control the clothing. So in this case, a blue shirt, and that's it. All right, as you can see, it's definitely the same color that we indicated here. Now this is what I really like about Dashtoons. It just gives you this much control over the character's appearance. And here are two other examples. Moving on to poses. Now some poses are easy to describe with words. Things like walking, jumping, laying down, sleeping. Text prompts will suffice. However, some poses are a bit more tricky and they require more precision. And that's when image prompts come in handy. Let's say I want my character to perform a flying kick. I'm just gonna add a frame here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Google Images and search for the right pose that I want to copy. Let's say this one. So I'm just gonna save it and then just drop it here. Okay, just stretch it out and then click the remove background here. This one. All right. Then I'm just gonna drag this one here, adjust the position. So that will do it for me. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the frame and then change text to image to image to image. Edge to comic also works, but I find image to image produces the best results for my use case. So I'm gonna choose this one. Now let's try a different character, a female one. So I'm gonna click on this one. The character's name is Lexi. Now let's say I want her to perform flying kick. And I want, let's say, an angry expression. Slide it down to 3. Now I'm gonna click generate. All right, now we got our pose. Don't worry about the face. We could easily correct that later. So click accept. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna drag this out. Click remove background. And then for here, we're gonna change it back to text to image. We're gonna generate the background. We're gonna delete the original prompt. Dojo background. As for our character, we already have this background removed. All right, now we got our dojo. I'll just use this one. Now we're gonna drag our character here. There. We're gonna use the mask and in-paint her face. Delete this one. And then select her again. Fierce expression. It's angry. That should do it. Alright. Not quite as realistic as I want, but I could always try again. But just for this example, I'll leave it as is. You could also easily add shadows here through the mask tool. I think this post demonstrates how it could be done well enough. So you could literally copy any pose you want. Let's try something a little bit different, but following the same principles. To this day, fingers are still some of the most difficult things image generators struggle with. Let's say I want this guy to snap his fingers. I tried doing it a bunch of times using text prompts and it's just impossible. So same as before, we're gonna need a reference image. And we're just gonna drop it here. Just gonna make it a little bit smaller. Remove background. So we're just gonna drag this one here. Right click, then flip it. Now we just need to rotate it a little bit. Trying to really make it fit. Now double click on it so you could crop. Yeah, that should do it. So right now, all we have to do is just paint over to make it look semi-decent. All right. Next, we're going to use the mask. So we in-paint it. We're just going to write here, finger snapping. We're going to increase the number of generations to 4 because this part is still a bit tricky. It doesn't always get it right. Fingers are difficult for AI. That's just how it is. So as you can see, this one looks a little decent. Let's see the others. This one's not that bad. We could just remove this one, this whatever that is. Okay, that one's bad. I think this one does the job well enough. So sometimes it may take more than one try, but what's important is that you could get the job done and not, spend so much time on it and hit a dead end. That's precision, bro. Voila. You could even paint sketches here on the Dashtoon interface, but I don't personally do that too much because I suck at drawing. But if you got the talent, it can be done. Now, this can't be considered a comic without comic bubbles and sound effects, so let's add them. Let's start out by creating a normal speech bubble. All you have to do is click this part and click it anywhere. So now you got your speech bubble. You could adjust the size. You could change the shape here on the right. There's a bunch of parameters you could tinker with. So in this case, we want a normal speech bubble. I'm gonna go with this one. Obviously, you could try other forms. You could try a rounded speech bubble. I mean, rectangular speech bubbles. You could try one with this type of design. You could try a wobbly speech bubble. Up to you, really. You could even try double speech bubble. For me, I just want the basic one, this one. So I'm gonna double click and write the text. Here you could adjust no tail or with tail, and you could control the tail as well, what direction you want. In my case, I could make it like this. Yeah, and you could also control the stroke width. In my case, I want it to be probably 10 will do. Could also make it a bit thicker. Nah, that's too thick. I'll stick with 10. Yeah, you have control over how long you want it to be. And for the tail width, I could probably set it to 55. For the text, you can control the font. There's a few selections here. You could try this one. You could try this. It's a bit too girly. So yeah, for me, I just want to stick with Wild Words regular. Obviously, you could control the font color. And you could also control the background of the speech bubble. You could even control the stroke color. Obviously, that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. So that will do for me. You could also control the size of the text. And the same goes for other types of speech bubbles. Let's say for this one, I want a thought bubble. I could just actually copy this one, copy and paste. Now I could just, let's say I want this type of speech bubble. And for the tail, I want this to be a thought bubble, so I'm going to use this one. I use 10. You can adjust the size anytime. You can transfer it here. You could also do screen bubbles. Let's say you want to add it here. There's two types of screen bubbles. You could try this, or you could try this. For me, I'll just use this one. This looks more like a screen bubble, and maybe I don't need to add a tail since she's only one figure. And maybe we could also add some sound effects here. For the sound effects, all you have to do is click on the text button here. Click anywhere, and you could. One of Dashtoon's weakness is the lack of font selection. So for letterings and text, we're kind of limited. Yeah, they are working on this, but for now, if you really want it to have like customized text, you might need to use external tools like Photoshop or Canva to add better text. Now, it would be nice if we could add action lines as well, because it's common for comics to have really neat action lines, but unfortunately, as of now, they don't have that feature yet. In my case, I tried adding action lines from Google search. You could just download any of these and you just import it to Dashtoon. That's what I did with this one. So you can see here, you could just add lines, and it does make the composition a bit better depending on what type of scenario you're trying to accomplish. Now, if you want to publish your work, all you gotta do is click here, publish. Since I already published my work, I already have my information here, but so there's a thumbnail for the entire comic and there's a thumbnail for the single episode. Normally, you'd see this as publish and then you click it to publish, but in my case, it's update because I've already published this one. How long does it take to create one comic episode? And the truth is, you could be done in as fast as 20 minutes if you're using story mode. Or you could take a whole day, but that depends on how much of a perfectionist you are. But I can't imagine it taking much longer than that for, let's say, a 10 to 15 page issue. Personally, it takes me about 3 to 5 hours per episode. Second, is this free? And as I stated earlier, yes, it is 100% free. You're given free credits regularly. And unlike other AI platforms, you don't really need to buy more. You just need to keep publishing. Dashtoon makes money from its readers, not its creators. Now, can you make money from this? Yes. I haven't personally, but once you publish 10 episodes, you could enroll in their creator program and start making revenue. I don't know any other AI comic platform that does this, by the way, but if you do, let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's about it. I highly recommend that you sign up to Dashtoon and perhaps give it a go. it's more than meets the eye. And this is coming from a guy who spent several months creating an entire course on AI comic making, only for that workflow to become obsolete the moment I tried Dashtoon. It's that good. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Dashtoon in the comments, as well as what you want me to talk about next. Lastly, if you want to learn more about how to create one comic episode in roughly 20 minutes, click here. The video should be out soon.